Hello everyone and welcome back to some more Marvel Crisis Protocol coverage on the channel. In today's 18 threat battle report we have the criminal syndicate led by the new MODOK going up against the Defenders, who have recently been backed up by Immortal Hulk, who is with their affiliation as well as Midnight Suns. So two big hitters kinda on the table you can see before you. Let's take a look at the specifics for both sides and get underway. So here is the criminal syndicate led by the new Scientist Supreme MODOK, whose affiliation bonus I would say is it's not poorly written in the sense of it's hard to understand, it's just sloppily written because it's got so many qualifiers. Once per turn, if attacking or defending and contesting or holding an objective and you roll a wild, you can change a blank to a shield, I think it is. It's something like that. It's very wordy. It could have been written a lot smoother than that and still had the same clarity, I think. Just it reads messy. The new M'Bato is going to, or the new M'Bato in general, he hasn't had a model already, actually has a variation of MODOK's affiliation bonus that I think is written a bit better because it doesn't have as many qualifiers. But anyway, new MODOK, he's not as tough as the other one, but he is a leader, he has some shenanigans, and we'll see them as we play. He doesn't have the super powerful Doomsday Chair, he's got a slightly different one. He's joined by Rhino, Omega Red, Bullseye and Elektra, and because Elektra's here she brings along the Hand Assassins. And their tactics cards today are Simpleton, I'll do it myself, This is a Robbery, Cruel Tutelage, No Mercy, and Spaghetti Carbonara Synthesizer. And just 4 miniatures making up the Defenders this time, because Immortal Hulk takes up the chunk of it himself, being 7th threat on his own, but being led by Doctor Strange and bringing along Luke Cage and Iron Fist as well. And their tactics cards couldn't really fit in any of the Immortal Hulk ones this time. I think Gamma Dream might have been okay, but instead of that, 7 Sons of Cinnabis, Heroes for Hire, Reversal, Indomitable, and Brace for Impact. And here is the 2 Crisis cards being played today, although I did forget to mention when going over the Criminal Syndicate that the new MODOK was actually donated to the channel by a viewer and friend, so thank you very much for that. The Montesi formula is the threat value being played. It's 3 books, Mystic Attack if you use them, which is kind of relevant because the new MODOK works very well against Mystic Attacks. And then the other one is Intrusions open across the city, so it's the 3 Dark Portals to Dormammu's area. 1 VP for each book held, 1 VP for each Dark Portal secured. In the crosshair format, as we come to call it here, book, 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 evil portal, puppy. I mean evil portal over there. So we'll get both sides deployed and then be back. So we are all set up and good to go. The Defenders are to your left and the Criminal Syndicate are to your right, and they're taking first activation. The Defenders will also have the opportunity to pass because they're 2 down. We can take a quick look where everyone is. So Omega Red is down here on his lonesome, Elektra and her assassins are here next to Bullseye and Rhino, and then Scientist Supreme MODOK is up in front of the XXX bar. The Defenders, they deployed a little bit closer together, except for Hulk's over here and is well, kind of close to Doctor Strange there, and then Iron Fist and Luke Cage are together over there. So with that, we are ready to jump into battle round 1 and see how this plays out. So Omega Red got the game started using his small movement to move up twice to claim the Dormammu portal on the right flank of the table as we see it now, just staying within 1 of it and very much in danger of Immortal Hulk saying hello, but hopefully Omega Red can take it. Iron Fist activated for the Defenders, doing the same kind of thing as Omega Red but on the opposite flank, moving up twice to get to this portal, trying to wedge himself against the gun store there just in case it pushes, and staying just within 1. Well, it was a turn 1 snatch and grab for Elektra and her hand ninjas, so the ninjas have to go first. They move to where you can see them and they can't contest, but they can pick up an asset for free, and the books are assets. So they picked up the book that was over there. Then Elektra activated. She moved medium twice to get around this red container here, which put her within 1 of the center, and she paid her 1 power from the power phase to pick up the book there as well, and also to contest the middle portal. So that's 2 books in 1 turn picked up there. Doctor Strange activated and moved medium to get to the far side of the book closest to the Defender's spawn line. He paid his 1 power to pick it up and then moved around the blue container medium to also get within 1 of the central portal and start to put a little pressure on Elektra. If I ever called her Electro, I apologise. 2 different people. They're both contesting it now though, so it's a current draw, but there's still Rhino and Bullseye who can definitely get in there. Well, speaking of Rhino, he activated and moved small. He doesn't have enough power to really do any of his movement shenanigans. He's not quite like Juggernaut, he's a bit of a lesser version. But came around twice down here to also contest the central portal, meaning that currently the Criminal Syndicate have majority. Iron Fist activated and moved up to help his good friend Luke Cage hold the leftmost Dormammu portal, which probably means MODOK won't bother trying to go after that now because he won't be able to get majority turn 1. I don't think he has enough power to do any movement shenanigans or like forced movements or pushes anyway, so he'll probably go somewhere else as a result, but it's over to him or Bullseye now. So of those two, it was Bullseye who decided to activate. He moved Medium twice down here and was not able to get close enough to help contest the portal that Omega Red is holding, so it's still just Omega Red doing that. Hulk could go over there to mess with them certainly, although he might want to go to the middle. It depends what the big green monster decides to do, because I think it is over to him now. Well, not a super bombastic first turn for Immortal Hulk. He moved up small, he then spent his 3 power he starts with from the power he gets in the power phase to Gamma Leap, which put him in the danger zone for Bullseye and Omega Red. He opted to hit Omega Red with just his basic 7-dice strike, hoping to get a wild. He was fishing for the throw. He didn't get a single wild. He did get 3 damage through though, although because of Omega Red's Spaghetti Carbonara armor, it comes down to 2 and there isn't really anything he can do with 2 power. So he is contesting, that means it's a draw there. MODOK's not going to be able to change that from where he's starting, so nobody is going to be capping that portal. Oh, just as a point of note, enemy characters that end their move within 2 of Omega Red, or enemy characters within 2 of him when he ends his turn, get poisoned, but Immortal Hulk is immune to poison, which I honestly forgot about. So the new MODOK, Scientist Supreme MODOK, activated. He moves small as well, like his other counterpart, so he moved once up to where you can see him. Now his Doomsday Chair is actually his basic attack. It's called Doomsday Chair Arsenal, I think. It's range 4, 5 dice with Incinerate on Wilds, and he did that into Doctor Strange. Got him. Only did 1 damage. The defense roll was pretty decent from the good Doctor, but did get that Incinerate through, so that puts him in the danger zone a little bit next turn. And with that, I think we're all ready to scoring for turn 1. So at the end of Battle Round 1, the Criminal Syndicate have 2 of the books, one on Elektra, one on the Hand Assassins, and they also have majority control over the central Dormammu portal, so they've gained 3 victory points. The Defenders, they have the other book on Stephen Strange, and they hold the top portal up there with Iron Fist and Luke Cage, so they gained 2 victory points, so 3 plays 2 going into Battle Round 2. The Defenders have taken first activation, although they will have a pass if they choose to use it. Well, Doctor Strange got Battle Round 2 started and threw some bolts of bedevilment right into Elektra's face at point blank range, getting her for just 2 damage. He wanted to hold on to his energy for some Horace Hoary Wisdom and things like that, so for his second action he actually retreated slightly his medium range over to there, so he's a bit closer to Luke Cage and Iron Fist, sitting on I think 3 power. I'm not going to mention it every single time, but he generates extra power on dice rolls he does that have shields. So that's how he keeps ahead of that. He is still incinerated though, and that's a big problem. Couldn't really do anything about it this turn. The Rhino was first up for Criminal Syndicate, wrong game. This turn he moved small to get into position where he was within 1 of Doctor Strange and within 1 of the portal he still wanted to hold. He did a basic strike on Doctor Strange, hoping to get some damage through, especially because Doctor Strange was only rolling 2 defense dice, but he actually didn't, which doesn't make it a perfect turn, but nevertheless, he still played for the 2 power he had on him. This is a robbery, so you pick a target within 2 of Rhino, he spends 2, they drop any objectives they're holding and he throws them medium. Ideal turn would have been if his strike had generated at least 1 power, because then he could have just picked up the book, but sadly not, but still did it. So the book that Doctor Strange was holding has been dropped there. He got chucked into Iron Fist and didn't use Brace for Impact because didn't think it would matter. It did, because Iron Fist I guess was just on his phone or something, didn't see the good Doctor being flung into him and took the full damage. So 3 there, and just 4 being thrown, Doctor Strange takes an additional 1. So not the perfect turn for Rhino, but still pretty good. The Immortal Hulk was next up for the Defenders, stayed exactly where he was, but he started by spending all 5 power he had on a Gamma Burst into Omega Red, so it's 10 dice, throw before damage is dealt, and that is important because the throw happened first, meaning that Omega Red was not contesting an objective, so he couldn't take advantage of MODOK's affiliation bonus. So he got chucked, then it was 10 dice physical and no power generated on the attack either. So he chucked a Mega Red into the rock for 1 flat damage. He did 4 to him, reduced down to 3 because of the Spaghetti Carbonara. And that was still enough though with the 2 damage from turn 1 that a Mega Red is dazed, so he won't be getting a turn this round. And then Immortal Hulk decided, I'll just do a basic 7 dice strike into Bullseye. Got him for 2, got the wild, chucked him into the red shipping container there for another 1 damage. Now at this point Bullseye is spending on Parting Shot, so he just does 1 flat damage to Hulk, which is a bit reflective but is there, and he gets a free short move which he's using just to get within 1 of the portal over there. MODOK activated and hovered on up on top of the shipping container here. Yes, it technically shouldn't be allowed because his base is ever so slightly poking over the edge. Forget about it, it's fine. He paid 1 to pick up the book that had been dropped, and then he used his Doomsday Chair arsenal on Iron Fist and got him for 2. It would also have done the Incinerate, but it doesn't matter because the 2 damage is enough on top of what he just took from taking Doctor Strange to the face that he is actually dazed and will not be getting a turn this round. Luke Cage opted to pass, so Elektra and her hand ninjas activated. The ninjas moved just to there to do nothing much really. Elektra moved and got into position to do a ancient throwing weapons attack, Mystic 5 dice with Pierce on wilds, into, and bleed as well I think, into Doctor Strange. Now worth mentioning, Luke Cage actually was sitting on enough power that he could have spent to take the hit from MODOK for Iron Fist. Totally blanked on that being a thing. He wanted to do it here to help protect Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is millimeters out of range 2, like 1 or 2 millimeters out. They're not within 2, barely, by as much as it's possible to just not be. So sadly he had to take the hit, and of course it did 4 damage with his 2 defense dice because of the Incinerate, which was enough to bring him to dazed status. He wasn't holding anything anymore though. It does mean he also has a lot of power to play with, but no, he is dazed. So Luke Cage has to activate now, and then it's over to Bullseye. Well, Luke Cage has little choice. He moved in such a way that he was just within 2 of Elektra, but also 1 of the portal there, so that he could do his basic Power Man punch. Yeah, 5 dice physical, with a stagger on a certain roll that he didn't end up getting. Elektra spent 2 on martial prowess, so she was rolling 5 defense dice instead of her normal, and if she takes no damage, she deals 2 damage back. And that's exactly what happened. Luke Cage took 2 damage, although it's reduced down to 1 because of his invulnerable skin, but Elektra remains untouched. So all Bullseye has done during his turn is he's scooted forwards like half an inch, maybe not even that. You need to put a troll face on him. He is positioning himself such that Immortal Hulk will find it annoying to get past or just to stop at him and not be within 1 of the portal there. So he's just trying to block the way. Hulk can obviously just like Gamma Leap over him or chuck him away with a basic attack, but it just makes it that little bit more awkward for him to get over there and help, because Hulk's got this side of the table on lockdown more or less. It's the other end of the table that's suffering. But that is it for the turn, thanks to Mega Red and Iron Fist being dazed. No activations for them, so it's straight to scoring. So at the end of Battle Round 2, 3 characters are going to be flipping over their cards to the dazed side, but scores wise, Criminal Syndicate hold all 3 books. MODOK's got 1, the Hand Ninjas have 1, and Elektra has 1. So 3 victory points gained there. They also hold the Central Dormammu portal for 4, taking them up to 7 in total. The Defenders hold the other 2 portals. Luke Cage is holding the one up there, and Hulk is holding the one down here. So they gain 2, taking them to 4. So 7 plays 4. Defenders still have first activation if they wish to have it in Battle Round 3. And with that, let's move on. Well, Battle Round 3 got started with the Iron Fist unleashing the Iron Fist onto Elektra, who did pay 2 again for martial prowess just to try and cheekily try and defend against all the damage. Not so lucky this time, it did 5 and was more than enough to daze her. She already had 2 on her, so 4 would have been enough. She dropped the book, and Iron Fist paid his 1 last power after all that to pick it up, and for his second action he retreated over there. Now before damage is dealt, it also deals 1 damage to any other enemy within 3. So MODOK, Rhino, and the Shield Ninjas, the Hand Ninjas have all taken 1 damage. MODOK activated and spent 4 on his big attack. It's called Psionic Assault. It's range 3, 7 dice Mystic, and before damage is dealt you advance the target small, and if you do get a wild you also inflict stun. It was at this point though that Luke Cage finally decided to step in, spending 2 on, what is it called? Too Dangerous to Ignore, to become the target instead. So he was moved small, he took the 7 dice Mystic, and as a result took 4 damage, reduced down to 3 for his invulnerable skin, but he's been moved away from the objective over there. For MODOK's other action, he just moved in to try and claim the objective here, because he's still on his healthy side, whereas Iron Fist and Doctor Strange are not. Well, speaking of Doctor Strange, he activated next, starting his turn with 9 power. He spent 4 of it on Crimson Bands of Citriarch, or Citra, whatever you pronounce it. He did that on Rhino, hoping to potentially get the... well, actually, he should have Stagger, but if he got Mystic Binding, it would have activated him. He was 1 away, he needed a wild, didn't get a wild. He did do 4 damage though, reduced down to 3 because of the Rhino hide, and as I say, he should have a Stagger token there, forgot to put it there, so Rhino will only be doing 1 actual action. He then just moved over here to put him within range 2 of Luke Cage, to spend 3 on Oshtar's Refuge to heal Luke Cage for the 3 damage he just took, so he's back to just having 1 on him now. Well, the Rhino activated and shook his Stagger for his first action. His next action was to move ever so slightly, just to reposition himself better. He's still within range 1 of that portal there just. He paid 3 on Nobody Ever Accused the Rhino of Good Manners to pick up the yellow shipping container and chuck it at Luke Cage's head. All said and done, after working out his dodge, his invulnerable skin, etc., he took 2 damage. Well, there Immortal Hulk goes, carrying the team again. He activated and did something Bullseye hadn't considered. He paid 1 to interact with the portal, which I think used to damage you. You still drop objectives if you're holding objectives, but it doesn't damage you anymore. Either way though, as long as you don't roll a blank or a skull, you go wherever you want within one of another portal. So Hulk teleported himself to where Hulk is very dangerous. He then did 2 basic attacks for his actions, 1 into Bullseye, which dazed him, 1 into the hand ninjas, which destroyed them, so they're actually off the table. They dropped the book they were holding, and Hulk paid 1 to pick it up. He then paid 3 for Leave Hulk Alone to pick up the size 4 Rhino and chuck him at MODOK. Now, he used aggressive to get back, so that there's still 2 healthy characters contesting the middle there. I think he has 2 health left. 4, yeah. No, wait, no, because of 5 there, so no. Rhino has 2 health left. MODOK, having to block a size 4 getting chucked into him, didn't do so well and took 4. That puts him up to 5 damage in total, and this version of MODOK has 7 health on his healthy side. So he's getting up there as well, especially because Luke Cage has still got to activate. But first, it is over to Mega Red. So Mega Red moved into position such that he is within 1 of the portal there, and within range 3 of Immortal Hulk, so he could spend 4, I think it was, yeah, 4, on Red Terror, with Absorb Essence on Wild, so he gets to gain himself some more power for every Wild he rolled, and he actually rolled 3. And he did pretty well against Immortal Hulk. He got 4 damage through against him, no stats effects or anything like that. You can choose whether it's physical or energy. He chose energy because Immortal Hulk only has 3 energy defense. Did okay against him, and he is still holding that portal. Luke Cage would have to go over there just to contest it. Actually no, because he's on his wounded side, isn't he? So he would be able to claim it. Yeah, there's a potential strategy, because it's over to Luke Cage now to end off the round. Luke Cage got into position and decided to do a sweet Christmas into MODOK and got a massive 5 damage, much more than was required. So MODOK dazed, and he paid 1 to pick up the book, and because he wanted to hold on to the book, he is not teleporting through the portal this turn because he'd have to drop it. So although Doctor Strange and Iron Fist could hold that portal now that MODOK's dazed, he can't because there's no one there to pick up the book. So either way, the points work out the same. If he ended up going to the middle one, there's no guarantee he won't roll a blank or a skull either, for that matter. So he's just holding onto the book instead, over by his friends, and that does also mean that MODOK's kind of by himself, unless Elektra goes in there. And if Rhino goes in there, he's going to ignore Immortal Hulk, and that's not a good idea to ignore him, because he is the only one really wrecking face on the table for the defenders. But either way, to the scoring for the round. So then about round 3, there's everything still to play for. For Criminal Syndicate, they lost all the books that turn, so all they have is the 1 point for holding this portal here, taking them up to 8. The defenders gained 3 for having all 3 books, and they hold that portal up there for a 4th, taking them to 8. So it's 8 points each, as it is a draw here between Rhino and Hulk. They're both on their healthy side. And the Criminal Syndicate have taken first activation back, so they'll be going first in battle round 4. Well, we're sticking over here this round because MODOK started as first activation for Criminal Syndicate. He did a Doomsday Share Arsenal into Luke Cage, managed to get 1 damage through to him and an Incinerate. He then, in an effort to take Luke Cage out, used Psionic Assault, which has the Force Small move before anything else, so that's why he's down there. Doctor Strange did spend on Horace Hoary Wisdom though to give him 2 extra defense dice. Technically only 1 because of the Incinerate, but he did manage to fully block the damage for poor MODOK. Then Iron Fist spent 2 on Reversal to try and take MODOK down, because on his day's side this version only has 5 health. So after an attack that targeted an allied character is resolved, another allied character within 3 of the attacker can spend 2, roll 4 dice, and then for each wild and crit you deal 1 damage. Sadly only the 1, that could have done a lot better. Obviously it's a very low chance, it's not a super great card, but one of these days it's going to pop off. Well, Immortal Hulk was up next, and his turns are always long, fun, and a bit too reminiscent of taking an average turn with Malekith. He did a basic strike into Bullseye, 5 damage. Goodbye Bullseye, you're a stain on the floor. So he's gone. Then he spent 3 on Leave Hulk alone to once again pick up Rhino and chuck him into MODOK. There's a little bit of a rules query here. MODOK ended up taking 3 damage from getting Rhino thrown into him, so he lived on 1. Rhino then moved back, thanks to aggressive. MODOK has a skill called Genius Requires Sacrifice, your sacrifice to be precise. It doesn't cost anything. He just picks an ally within 2 and they become the target, but it says he has to be targeted by an attack, and Rhino is the target of Leave Hulk alone, not him. So presumably that means he couldn't have used it and put the damage onto Elektra instead. Maybe, maybe not. Either way, I guess Elektra is still there, so if another attack comes in at him, he can deflect it onto her then. But either way, he then used a Gamma Burst, because it's range 3, amazingly, on Omega Red, and it has that built-in throw, so he chucked Omega Red even further away afterwards. Omega Red ended up over here, 4 damage down to 3 from the Gamma Burst itself, 1 flat damage from being flung into the rock. That puts him at 4. I think he has 6 on his day's side, so he's still alive, he'll still get a turn, but he's a little bit away from the action. So Rhino activated for Criminal Syndicate, spending 3 on Stampede to push himself medium over here, and adding 2 or 3 dice to his next Gore attack, which he used on Iron Fist. Got a massive 7 damage, actually that would be 6, because doesn't he reduce damage by 1? Oh wait, no he doesn't. Well, either way, more than enough. He only has 5 on his healthy side regardless, so Iron Fist, on his day's side, sorry. So Iron Fist is out of there. Rhino then paid 1 to pick up the book that Iron Fist was holding. He then just did a basic 5 dice Gore into Luke Cage, and that was fully blocked. It was kind of like a high and a low there, because the first roll against Iron Fist he had literally no misses. It was all hits. And against Luke Cage, I'm pretty sure he had a single hit, which was blocked, even with his incinerated defense dice. Doctor Strange activated up there behind MODOK, and just did 2 bolts of bedevilment rather, in his turn. The first one into Rhino, it did 3 damage, reduced down to 2, still enough, that is enough to daze him. He dropped the book he just stole, Doctor Strange picked it up, so he's stolen it back. And then he did the next on MODOK, but MODOK used that long named skill, Genius Requires Sacrifice, your sacrifice to be precise, to pop that onto Elektra regardless of line of sight, etc. And she took 2 damage from that attack as well. He wanted to heal Luke Cage, but he's out of range, he needs to be within 2. So he's just staying where he is, and with Rhino being dazed, oh no, Mega Red could activate, but most likely Elektra will. Elektra stayed where she was and initiated a ancient weapon attack, and when she does that, you place the ninja assassins back down with hand assassins with an activated token, but they get to do a free attack when they're placed via that attack. So they attacked Luke Cage, he took 1 damage from their 4 dice physical attack. Then the knives or sais or whatever she's using that she threw at him, Elektra rolled no successes, so then she had to do it again. Did better that time, 2 damage down to 1 was enough that Luke Cage has been dazed. His book has been dropped there, she can't pick it up, neither can they because they go first and technically have an activated token. And with Luke Cage being dazed, that means the defenders are done for the turn, so it's just over to Omega Red, and all he's doing is positioning himself to cap the point here for a victory point. So we're just going to go straight to the scoring now, because he's not going to attack Hulk and feed him power. So then the battle round 4, this one is going the distance. The Criminal Syndicate have 2 of the portals. MODOK and Rhino are holding that one over Doctor Strange, and Omega Red is holding this one. So they gain 2 victory points, taking them to a flat 10. The defenders have 2 of the books, because the third is on the floor, just as a reminder. 2 of the books, and Hulk has the middle portal there. So that takes them up to 11. So 1 point in it. As we go into battle round 5, the defenders have first activation. I think they're all flipped to their other side now. Oh wait, no, Immortal Hulk isn't obviously, but everyone else is, and everyone on the Criminal Syndicate side are also on their day's side. So we'll see what happens. So the first one on the table to discover if you open up these weird magic books, it gives you the ability to fire death beams, was in fact Immortal Hulk. He moved into position such that then he could use the book, Nice Beam 3, to get Elektra, the Hand Ninjas, and Rhino all in the same attack. He did 3 to Elektra, 2 to the Hand Ninjas, 2 down to 1 on Rhino. That removes Elektra from the game. It also removes her Hand Ninjas, because they only have 2 health as well. So he got a double kill. Actually, it just occurred to me, oh no, he's holding a book. He can only hold 1 book. I was going to say he could Gamma Leap and then he'd still have 1 power left to pick up the book that was on the floor. Nope, no he does not. So he could have spent on a Gamma Leap, but he didn't have enough power to do like a throw after her, and MODOK's just going to put wounds onto Rhino to save his skin. So, but he managed to get rid of 2 activations, well 1.5 activations I guess, and it's looking good for the defenders, largely just thanks to Immortal Hulk. MODOK activated and stayed where he was, turning on Doctor Strange and doing 2 Doomsday Chair arsenals to try and take him out with those physical attacks. The first one just did a single point of damage, did get the Incinerate on him though. The second one did 2 points of damage. The good doctor still has 3 health remaining, and MODOK is staying there because he wants someone to pass wounds off of, or onto I should say, and Rhino is his scapegoat. Well, a quick activation for Doctor Strange followed. He healed himself with Oshtar's Refuge for 3 power to heal back to full health on his day's side. He then did a Bolts of Bedevilment on MODOK. MODOK immediately said, nope, actually you're attacking Rhino instead, and they might regret that because it spiked pretty hard. It got Rhino good for 5, reduced down to 4 because of his Rhino height. He's still alive though. With the 1 damage on him, that means he is 1 away from death. Now he couldn't go after the book because Doctor Strange already has a book and you can only hold 1, but he's edging ever closer to just getting MODOK off the table. Well, this might spell the end for the Criminal Syndicate. Rhino activated, used Stampede, used the Gore, which made it 7 dice physical into Doctor Strange, who did buff his defense with Horath's Hoary Wisdom, and he took no damage from it, so Rhino resorted to using another Gore, just back down to 5 physical dice. Once again, Doctor Strange had just enough power to boost his defense again, so he did, and he took no damage from that either. Because, yes, Rhino could have ran away, picked up the book, ran away again, so that Luke Cage would have to attack him. They're down by 1, so there's no point doing that. They'd still just lose by 1, so it was go big or go home. Killing Doctor Strange would have made him drop a book as well, so it still would have equaled a book had it worked out. He rolled bad, and that's not what happened. Luke Cage moved into position, paid 1 power to pick up the book, and then did a basic strike into MODOK, which was passed off onto Rhino. And Rhino took 1 damage flat, can't reduce below 1, but that is enough that he is out of there. It's a shame Luke Cage couldn't do another attack because he now had enough to do a Sweet Christmas, and obviously MODOK is basically defenseless, so he has no one else to pawn attacks off onto. Luke Cage couldn't get close enough to contest though, so it's actually a draw over there between MODOK and Doctor Strange. Omega Red, there's not really much he can do, so he's probably just going to chill. I guess we'll see in a second. You know, Omega Red was going to use a portal there to teleport over to try and take out Doctor Strange, and he'd be a body for MODOK to protect himself with. He interacted with the portal, rolled a blank, which means he doesn't get to pick where he gets popped out, so he's getting popped out there next to Immortal Hulk, who is on his healthy side, so Immortal Hulk is still holding that. So all he's done is given up 1 victory point. I think it's going to be more or less over. Let's go to the scoring. Yep, so at the end of Battle Round 5, we are going to call it, even though technically the match isn't over yet. The defenders have all 3 books and this portal, gaining 4, taking them to 15 of the 16 required to win. Criminal Syndicate gained 0. That one's a draw. This one is now unclaimed, and as I say, the defenders have all 3 books, so they stayed stuck at 10. That means the defenders just need to get 1 victory point. They're not killing Immortal Hulk, so that isn't happening. Even if they did manage to take him down, he just gets the immortality token, he heals by how much power he's sitting on, and at the top of turn 6 it would be a minimum of 7, because he's got 4 on him right now, so he would heal by that much. They're not killing him, he would gain the 1 point, and the maximum they could score, feasibly, is 4. 1 book each, 1 portal each, and 4 isn't even enough to catch up as is, so at that point we can definitely call it as a defender win. So some quick final thoughts on that match. It was a very close one of the closer ones we've had on the channel, I think, but the sad part is that was 90% because of Immortal Hulk. Immortal Hulk is just so powerful, so potent, that he was hard carrying his team. If he wasn't there, it would have been much worse for the Defenders. They almost certainly would have lost. And well, I think the ideal Defender, like, he does really well in Midnight Suns as well, but an ideal Defenders team would be Doctor Strange, Immortal Hulk, Wong, Hawkeye, probably. Then fit someone else in if you're playing a slightly higher threat value. New MODOK is fine. I think he did okay. The ability to just pass off who's attacking him constantly is fun. Actually, is it once per turn, or can he just keep doing it? Let's double check that. Let's see. Genius requires sacrifice. Yeah, no, he can do it as many times as he wants, as long as he's targeted by an attacker or superpower. So, yeah, he can just keep on passing off wounds onto people, which can be used, I guess, in smarter ways to feed power to people who might not otherwise be attacked. Like, say you somehow manage to fit a MODOK and a Hulk on the same team. People sometimes just ignore Hulk not to feed him power. Have MODOK near him, force Hulk to get hit, and that way you can feed power to him. Or anyone who can make do with him for getting fed a lot of power that wouldn't normally get it from being attacked. Or people wanting to attack him. I can't think of any other examples besides Hulk offhand. Just the strong characters, really, I guess, like Magneto and people like that. Either way, though, I sincerely hope you enjoyed this close battle. Thank you very much for watching to the end. If you have, please do remember to show your support. And if you'd like to support what we do here, consider becoming a channel member or pressing the thanks button. It's all reinvested and helps keep this possible. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you in the future for more. Until then, ta for now.